Good morning on this Wednesday. Thank you for joining us here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. I'm Nick Sturtevant. Carlene is also in studio with me. I'm in for Jane Monreal. All right, so let's start out with some news, some breaking news that we are continuing to follow. We've been following this all morning. A homicide investigation underway in West Charlotte. Let's send you right out to WCNC Charlotte's Destiny Richards, who is live on Roswell's Ferry Road. Destiny, what can you tell us at this hour?
Yeah, we know this morning that a 31-year-old man was found shot to death outside of a restaurant here in West Charlotte. The scene is clear now, but for most of the morning, we have been seeing police canvassing evidence right outside of Capitaine Bar and Grill. This is where there was a lot of police tape up and a large police presence for the better part of the morning as they worked to figure out what happened. They say that they arrived just after 2:30 this morning, and this is where they found a man with multiple gunshot wounds. Medic pronounced him dead at the scene, and we did see some people hang around. Police were speaking to possible witnesses in the area. The establishment closes, according to their website, at 2 a.m. And police did tell us, though, that there was no threat to the public, and they said that this was an isolated incident.
At this point in time, we are not looking for any suspects, and there's no ongoing threat to the community. This is very early on in the investigation. A lot of things that our detectives are diligently working through, and as we have additional information, we're going to get that out to our community.
So as of about 7:30 this morning, that's when the scene here cleared, but that investigation is still continuing. Anyone with information that could help police in this investigation is asked to call their homicide unit, contact the detective on this case, or you can leave an anonymous tip with Crime Stoppers. That number is 704-334-1600. Again, 31-year-old man found shot to death here overnight outside of this restaurant. I'll send it back to you, Nick.
All right, Destiny, thank you. It's a story that we will continue to follow throughout the day as more developments come in. Make sure you stick with us here on WCNC Plus Live Impact News for those latest developments. All right, let's take a quick break. We'll be back here in just 2 minutes here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. Welcome back here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. I'm Nick Sturtevant. It is New Year's Eve. I was telling Carlene, I can't believe it's New Year's Eve. It doesn't feel like
it snuck up on us.
It kind of snuck up on us.
It snuck up on us.
Maybe it doesn't feel like New Year's Eve because it's kind of like a regular day.
It's
for
a regular
us.
day for us, but
I don't want to be the wet blanket because we're excited. We're excited.
It's just all of a sudden it's here.
It's here. So it's New Year's Eve. A lot of people are celebrating. We're waiting for their celebrations happening
all over the globe.
All over the globe. Uptown is going to celebrations start there at 8. But before we get that, there are celebrations happening right now.
Yep.
This is in South Korea. This is a live look in South Korea.
Isn't this cool?
This is really cool. I'm kind of jealous that I'm not there, but we're there. We're here through the power of TV and streaming. So here we are, South Korea. We believe this is Seoul.
We believe this is Seoul. It's not listed. It just says South Korea. But if I were, a betting woman, I'd probably say this is Seoul. And I mean, these dancers have been going at it for a while now, since we started the show. So.
Again, Seoul, South Korea. We believe is Seoul. It's 11:07 p.m. So they are approaching the new year. They'll be in the new year before we are. So they are bringing it in an incredible way. There, you can see the dancers there. They've been dancing for a while.
Well, I was like, they've been. Whew.
And it's cold because
it's cold. You can see the breath out of their mouth. Oh my lord!
It's cold.
Good for them.
It's cold. Look, we have a lot to relate to there because it's gonna be cold. It's gonna be chilly tonight. It's gonna be
chilly.
So bundle up. All right, that's again South Korea celebrating the new year. They're less than an hour away from the new year arriving 2026. I just want to put this out there. Be safe.
Yeah.
Be safe as you celebrate the new year.
We're going to try and bring as many as the new ones come in throughout the day from around the world because we do have the power of multiple international cameras.
This is a new thing for us.
Yes.
Live Impact News launched at the beginning of this year.
Right.
So doing the New Year's Eve celebrations and bringing it to you streaming live, new for us. So this is a cool experience. It's first time for us. So thank you for, again, watching us, being with us on this Wednesday morning, New Year's Eve morning. Okay, I mentioned being safe. That means, look, you got to protect yourself because the flu is running rampant. There are a lot of people getting sick. I've seen people on my timeline say, hey, I spent time with the family. I did this and that, and now I'm sick.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I understand you want to spend time with your friends and loved ones.
My family is like family dinner we do day after Christmas dinner.
Yeah.
Like it was like cut down to half because half of them were sick.
Everybody was sick. A couple of members of my family, I believe it was my niece, and my brother were just getting over something. Luckily they got over it and we didn't catch anything, but folks are getting sick. So we got an update from doctors from Novant Health on the flu strain that's out there, what you can do to protect yourself, some helpful tips, because just because the holidays are over doesn't mean that you're not going to catch the flu.
We're in the middle of flu season.
We're in the heart of it.
Yeah.
Kids are going to go back to school soon. Yep. You're going to go back to work.
Yep.
So you just want to make sure you're protected. So listen to this. This is from Novant Health on yesterday, giving us some big updates.
Just a few comments I'll make about influenza and respiratory virus season. And if you can't hear me, please let me know as I'm kind of managing all the technologies. It's that time of year. So respiratory virus season is here. It is typically between November and March for us in healthcare. And really during that period, we see this increase in infections from several respiratory viruses, mainly influenza, COVID, and RSV, or respiratory syncytial virus. But there are other viruses that float around as well. It's really what happens this time of year. Over the last couple of weeks, our healthcare system has seen some significant increases in influenza cases in particular in our clinics, our emergency rooms, our hospitals. And I think that trend will continue in the next few weeks as everyone is gathered for the holidays and will continue to gather around the new year, that these viruses will get spread in our communities. I can tell you over the last week over week, our hospitals and emergency departments have experienced a 2.5 times increase in positive flu cases. We're also seeing some increase in RSV, that respiratory syncytial virus, which is typically a wintertime infection. infection. So we're not surprised by any of this. It's just every year it happens a little bit of a different time, and that's what's happening now. If you look statewide, the state of North Carolina is also seeing some increases in the respiratory virus activity in the emergency departments. That's continuing to go up, and we're seeing that nationwide. So if you look at the state of North Carolina data or CDC data, we see the same things. I'll tell you the dominant strain out there is an influenza A, which is H3N2. Influenza A is the most common flu we see each year. This one's a little bit different. It comes from a subclade called K, like the letter K. We haven't seen that one as much before. It's unclear if that strain has more severe disease, but it may be more contagious because it is the dominant strain. It's the thing that's being spread around the most in our communities. I do get asked sometimes, how do we distinguish the symptoms of the flu versus the symptoms of RSV versus the symptoms of COVID? That's hard to do, even for experienced physicians, but kind of the general rule of thumb as we think about those different viruses is when people tell me about influenza, they talk about it coming on very suddenly. They feel like they have a high fever, and they particularly have these muscle aches. And they'll describe it as, I felt like I was hit by a truck. That's the phrase you hear the most. COVID tends to come on over a little bit longer period of time, maybe a few days. You get fever, sore throat, congestion, runny nose. It doesn't have that hit by a truck feeling. So those aren't perfect descriptions, but the best way to determine what virus you have is to be tested. And there's some testing modalities out there, some testing you can do with home tests, at urgent cares, at your doctor's office. So that's the best way to distinguish the viruses. But if I had to think of them in different categories, I would describe it that way. How do we prevent all of this? How do we reduce our risk in respiratory virus season? First and foremost is vaccination. It's highly recommended. It's safe. It's very useful for respiratory viruses. Influenza is preventable. People over the age of 6 months should consider vaccination. And vaccines can prevent infections like the flu, but also reducing the severity of the flu if you do get it. They're not perfect. We know that, but they can make your infection less severe, which could be important. I'll say that we talked about testing a second ago. Early testing for respiratory viruses is advisable if you have symptoms. If you're going to be tested, do it soon, particularly if you have risk for complications. So if you're someone with diabetes or lung disease or heart disease or cancer or immune system issues, you want to be tested and you want to do it early because treatments for flu and COVID exist, but they're better to get them started within a couple of days of your symptoms and not wait longer. Other ways to reduce your risk or help the community is stay at home when you're sick, stay home from work or school. Consider antiviral medications. Your doctor can tell you if you're a candidate for that for both flu and COVID. We tell people wash your hands, clean surfaces around you, and consider using a mask, particularly in crowded settings, to help lower your infection risk. One comment I want to make before I kind of wrap up here is, and we don't emphasize this enough, when you prevent something like the flu or COVID, it's important to do that to avoid getting the virus, but you're also avoiding the serious complications that can come on after those viral infections. And we do not talk about this enough, and we should. When people have flu and COVID, your risk in the next few weeks for heart attack, stroke, pneumonia, sepsis, all of those things go up. Because when you get those infections, those viruses cause inflammation in your body, particularly your blood vessels. And so if you're at risk of having a heart attack or a stroke or pneumonia or sepsis, that inflammation can lead to those things. So you talk to physicians and APPs and nurses that work in emergency departments this time of year, they will tell you that people come in with heart attack and stroke and pneumonia and sepsis. If you ask them, have you had a respiratory virus in the last few weeks, they will often say yes. So getting vaccinated, preventing getting these infections is not just about, hey, I'm avoiding getting the virus, I was going to get over it anyway. There are serious and sometimes fatal complications from these viruses that you're helping prevent by protecting yourself. And while those things can occur in anyone, they're particularly more likely in older adults. Again, diabetes, heart and lung disease, cancer, immune system issues, those are the things that people, and when you have those things, your risk of complications from these viruses really goes up. And lastly, I'll say there are antiviral medications for flu and COVID. For flu, some of them are just one pill, some take several days of therapy, but it's best to talk to your doctor about what the best options for you would be. And you want to do that quickly, because if you're going to take those medications, as I mentioned, you want to take those within 48 hours of your symptom onset. So talk to your doctor if those are best for you. And with that, I will take any questions.
Dr. Priest, I'll kick us off. For anybody who has spent a lot of time with family at the holidays and inevitably heard so-and-so had the flu after, what is the incubation period like for influenza where you should really be on high alert?
Yeah, I would say for the next week. So that's the kind of time to think about it. And we run into those situations, right? You go to the public gathering, the family gathering, and you weren't told that so-and-so was sick, or you find out a little bit later. So you have to think about taking precautions. There are some very immunocompromised people who, when they're exposed to flu, should probably talk to their doctors about whether it would be beneficial for them to take an antiviral medication if they've had a really high risk exposure. So it's worth talking to your doctor about that.
And how are the case rate that we're seeing right now comparative to year over year? It seems like you're reading about it more every year, but I also know that we say that every year.
Yeah, I mean, in our system, in our healthcare system in North and South Carolina, what we're seeing is we're peaking a little bit earlier than we did last year. It just depends on the year. A big peak generally comes, and sometimes it's December, January, or February. I think we're peaking a little bit earlier than we have in recent years, but nothing that seems particularly out of the ordinary to us in terms of number of cases.
Great. Any of our media partners who are on, do you have questions for Dr. Priest?
I have one, Caroline. Dr. Priest, you mentioned vaccines, but we know it's a little bit late in the season. Kids have been out now for the holidays, and they are returning back to schools next week and later. Is it too late to get the vaccine? What should families know as far as the timing goes?
Yeah, great question. It is not too late to get the vaccine, but I think, as you're alluding to, when you get the vaccine, you're not instantly protected. It takes a couple of weeks for your immune system to respond to that vaccine. So the sooner the better. Now, I don't know when the true peak of these cases is going to come, probably in the next couple of weeks. So it is worth going ahead and getting vaccinated. It's not too late. And the peak may come later in January. And if you get vaccinated now, you can be protected. And every once in a while, we have years where we have two peaks. So sometimes later in a flu season, influenza B will show up, and the vaccine includes protection against influenza B. And so it's worth going ahead and get vaccinated. It's not too late. And the vaccine is available in your local drugstores, your physician's offices, local health departments have it, so it's worth getting.
And just for parents, go ahead.
I'm sorry. If someone has the flu, how long are they contagious?
Yeah, so it's generally for about 24 hours after their fever is gone. So it's one of those things where you watch and follow. When your fever is gone, you wait about 24 hours, and then you're no longer shedding virus or contagious. So it's really around when the fever ends and when your symptoms get better.
What have you seen ramp up so far this season to kind of contribute to the restrictions for some of these visitors? I mean, it has to be intense, or more intense this year if the visitations have been restricted for certain hospitals. So what are some of the new ramps you've seen for this particular season?
Yeah, we actually restrict visitors almost every year, and we often do that in collaboration with other regional healthcare systems. We talk to them frequently, and the great thing about that is we all collectively really care about our communities, and we want to give consistent messaging about all of this. So it's not so much that this year is worse than others. We do this most years. We do it because, interestingly, children can often carry influenza virus, and they don't have symptoms at all, or their symptoms are really mild. And so we understand the desire that you might want to bring a child into a hospital to visit a loved one, but the hospital is full of people that are really vulnerable to flu, and we don't want our healthcare workers to get flu either. And so we kind of take this step every year to say we don't want to bring extra respiratory viruses into our hospitals. Now, there are exceptions to that in our healthcare system. So our teams will work with families. If there's a reason a child needs to come in the hospital, maybe it's an end-of-life issue for a loved one or a sibling visiting visiting a new sibling after their mom's had a baby. So we will work with families to make sure those things happen. But in general, just general visitation's not great. And we just decide to do this every year as we monitor that respiratory virus activity and say, okay, now's the time. It's a little different every year, but now's the time to say, let's keep some folks out of the hospital for a few weeks just to keep people safe.
Any other questions for Dr. Priest?
When should someone who's sick with the flu go to the doctor?
Yeah, so that's a really good question. I think the first thing to know is about your own healthcare problems, right? So if you're an older adult, diabetes, heart disease, lung disease, cancer, immune system issues, you should err on the side of talking to your doctor sooner. First, you should be vaccinated against these viruses to protect you. But if you're starting to develop those symptoms, talk to your doctor. So many doctors now take electronic messages. You can call the office, you can send a message and say, hey, I have some risk factors for complications of these viruses and I have symptoms. What do you advise me to do? And I think they'll advise you to be tested early and to go on antiviral medications if that's the right thing for you. Now, a younger person who has zero health problems, whose symptoms are mild, that's someone who is less at risk for those complications, but should certainly consider staying home from work or school and potentially get tested to make sure they're protecting those around them. Because remember, we do all this together. It's our communities trying to protect each other and protect the most vulnerable among us. And so we have to think about that as we have these infections. So just know about your own health problems and what risk you might have, and then talk to your doctor about what's best for you.
All right, so that was an update from Novant leaders, doctors, when it comes to the flu and what you need to do to make sure you're safe along with your family, your loved ones, your friends. All right, let's take a quick break. We'll be back here in just 2 minutes here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. Welcome back here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. I'm Nick Sturdivant. So before we went to break, we got an update on the flu strain, what you need to do to keep safe. In the upstate of South Carolina, they're dealing with, and they have been dealing with, a measles outbreak that continues to spread. Those numbers continue to go up. So yesterday, we got an update from the South Carolina Department of Health on those on that measles outbreak there in the upstate and across the state. Let's take you there now in case you missed it.
I'll leave things off to Dr. Bell now.
Casey, thank you. I'm having a few technical problems this morning. Are we okay with the audio?
Yep, sounds good. And your camera's on as well.
Okay, thank you so much. And good afternoon, everyone. On Tuesday, the South Carolina Department of Public Health reported 20 new cases of measles in the state since Friday, which brings the total number of cases in South Carolina related to the upstate outbreak to 176, and the total number reported to DPH this year to 179. 7 of the new cases were known household exposures. 5 resulted from a previously reported school exposure, 2 resulted from an exposure at church, and 1 resulted from an exposure at either school or church. The sources of 4 cases are unknown and still under investigation, and all of the new cases are Spartanburg County residents. In total, there are currently 287 people in quarantine and 2 in isolation. The latest end date of quarantine for these is January the 21st, meaning that we expect to continue to see cases well into January. Complications from measles are not reportable, but we have learned that 3 people with measles required hospitalization for complications. Both adults and children were involved. And to protect privacy, we do not provide personal details or specifics of clinical outcomes or the status of these cases. DPH encourages those potentially exposed to notify a healthcare provider of a possible measles exposure before seeking care, to allow arrangements to be made in clinical settings to protect others, as clinical settings have been settings where public exposures have occurred. One of our priorities is protecting the public from preventable exposures by implementing quarantine measures to help stop the spread of measles. So it's very important for those who have, even mild illnesses or who are in quarantine to stay home to protect others because they may not be aware that they can spread the disease. Vaccination continues to be the best way to prevent measles and to stop this outbreak. And we know the vaccination status of 170 of the 176 outbreak-related cases, and 99% of them are unvaccinated. So this speaks to the protection that vaccination brings as the best way to protect people against measles, to prevent ongoing spread in our communities, and to stop this outbreak. We remind people that vaccines are available at many primary care providers' offices and pharmacies, as well as at DPH Health Department clinics. And any community partner or organization interested in scheduling a vaccination event from DPH's mobile health unit can request a visit to their location by completing the form found on the DPH website. And with that update, I will turn it over to questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Bell. And everyone, I think most of you know the drill, but if you don't mind raising your hand, we'll call on you in the order you raise your hand in. And if you don't mind, when you do ask your question, to say your name and the name of the outlet you work with. And it looks like Tom's got a question. Tom?
Hi, Tom Corwin, Post and Courier. So earlier this week, DPH also put out the status of outbreaks of other vaccine-preventable viruses in the upstate. A number of outbreaks of pertussis, whooping cough, of measles as well. Does this, I think, add to the point about the need for vaccination?
It does add to the importance of vaccination, because we are seeing a higher number of vaccine preventable disease outbreaks in the upstate, which is an area of our state that has among the lowest vaccination coverage. So as we would expect with lower vaccination coverage for other vaccine preventable diseases, we are seeing higher rates of varicella or chickenpox, or pertussis and whooping cough, as you mentioned. This raises concerns for the flu as we are moving into widespread flu transmission in the state. And so, yes, this is a concern not just for measles, but we have a number of vaccine preventable diseases that people could be protected against if we were able to get our vaccination coverage up more widely.
Thank you.
Thank you. And Mackenzie?
Hi, Mackenzie Musket, Spectrum News. I just wanted to pivot to the flu for a second. I know today the CDC bumped up South Carolina as having a very high activity level. And I know today Prisma Health and some other hospitals aren't letting children visit their hospitals. So how worried should people be about the flu this season? And how is this going to affect children now that we're seeing a measles outbreak and a very high widespread flu season?
Well, we're not asking people to be worried. We want people to be prepared and we want people to be informed. And so it is important information to know that influenza activity in the state is now widespread for 2 consecutive weeks. We want people to be informed that the vaccination against the flu is recommended for everyone 6 months of age and older, unless they have a contraindication every year, because this is what gives people the protection from the vaccine that's developed to be well matched against the most commonly circulating strains. We want people to be aware that with flu activity now on the increase, if they choose to get vaccinated, it actually takes about 2 weeks for the body to mount a immune response that is strong enough to protect them against flu infection or complications from the flu. And so those are all points that we want people to be aware of. This is an opportunity to be prepared. We can't anticipate when an exposure might occur, and so vaccination now will protect people throughout the flu season that we define as beginning in October and moving well into the spring. We continue to see flu activity as late as March and April, and we can see from one season to the next, it's unpredictable how severe the flu season might be. But an important point I want to make is regardless of the severity of the flu in each season, we see hospitalizations and deaths from flu, even in relatively mild seasons. So we want to encourage people to be aware of that and to get protected now.
Thank you, Dr. Bell. Peyton?
Hi, yeah, Peyton Furtado, WYFF News. Linda, we talked yesterday about the flu, but today we're talking about measles. We saw that one of the people in your press release is fully vaccinated and still contracted it. Is it at all possible, even if you are fully vaccinated, for your immunity to the measles to wear off as time goes on?
We don't generally see waning immunity from measles vaccination. We know that no vaccination offers 100% protection, but the measles vaccine is one of the most effective vaccines that we have available. And in fact, for about 97% of people who receive
4:30s by the time we reach midnight. We're also looking ahead towards, of course, your New Year's forecast as we look.
Sorry, let me mute myself if that's me.
Okay. Yeah, just wanted to continue with that, to let people know that the measles vaccine is one of the most effective that we know of. And in fact, about 97% of the people who get the recommended 2-dose schedule will have lifelong immunity. So it's not a question of waning immunity. It's just that a small percentage of people actually don't respond. But as I mentioned earlier, it offers great protection because 99% of our cases for whom we have vaccination status are unvaccinated. And that tells us about the protection that the measles vaccine offers.
Thank you, Dr. Bell. Aria?
Hi there, this is Aria Bendix with NBC News. Linda, how would you characterize where we are in the trajectory of this outbreak? Would we say cases are still rapidly accelerating? And what does this mean for the country's elimination status for measles?
Well, it's difficult to say where we are in the trajectory in South Carolina because, as I mentioned, we have over 200 people now in quarantine. And the latest date that quarantine ends for those currently in quarantine is January the 21st. So based on our experience throughout this outbreak, we know that a large number of our cases are those who we've placed in quarantine because of known exposures. This would include these 200 plus people that we've mentioned. So we can anticipate that we will continue to see additional cases for those who are now in quarantine. And unfortunately, around each new case, we continue to see transmission in households primarily. I would say over 40% of our cases are a result of household transmission. We are seeing continued transmission in our schools. We are seeing continued transmission as a result of exposures in the churches. So the trajectory that we're looking at now is that we do anticipate more cases well into January. What that means for us nationally in terms of how they are defining our designation in this country as having eliminated measles is unclear, because some outbreaks in other jurisdictions have been declared over. So whether or not that's being defined as continuous and ongoing spread or transmission in this country has yet to be defined.
Thanks, Dr. Bell. And Baker?
Hey, it's Baker Maltsby with the Spartanburg Herald Journal. Wanted to know if the new cases that...
and that's what we have right now. And again, this honor the lives lost in that tragic plane crash involving NASCAR great Greg Biffle, his family, and the others that were on board.
Hey, we good?
Sorry about that, folks. As a reminder, if you will, please mute yourself if you're not asking a question. That'd be helpful.
All right, so that was an update from South Carolina health officials regarding the measles outbreak. All right, let's take a quick break. We'll be back here in just 2 minutes here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. Welcome back here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. I'm Nick Sturdivant. We continue to follow a developing story that devastating fire there in Gaston County that took the life of NASCAR great Denny Hamlin's father, Dennis Hamlin. So as that fire happens, that the aftermath of that, we've also noticed a trend. We have covered quite a few house fires in recent weeks. So WCNC Charlotte's Miles Harris spoke with Derek Miller with the J.C. Burns Center that's in Chapel Hill. He says they offer continuous care for patients, for the emergency response to aftercare support, because a lot of that is not just healing those physical scars, but it's also healing those emotional scars. So again, we spoke with Derek Miller with the J.C. Burns Center in Chapel Hill. Here's that full interview. I believe we have it pulled up. Yep. All right, let's take it there now.
Okay. Kind of walk me through what you guys and your services really do for burn victims. I guess we should start there too.
Sure. So I like to think about it as a continuum of care. Certainly on the front end, there's this emergent response care. So for critical burns, we would receive patients from outlying hospitals, sometimes brought directly to us from EMS. So provide that emergency life-saving care. So that's part one. And then depending upon the severity of injury, this might involve a prolonged inpatient ICU stay. So our burn ICU, we have 21 ICU beds at UNC. Patients can stay sometimes for months based on a severe burn and or an inhalation injury. In addition to the wound care, there's integrated therapy services, so being able to learn to walk again, using hands, faces, etc., making sure nutrition is there. So the full wraparound services to have optimal care to discharge. So that's part one. But we know that burn survivors, their needs would continue far beyond discharge, and so we have integrated what we call aftercare services. So that's survivor support as well as the family for as long as they need it. And that might be counseling, that might be coming to programs, that might be peer support from other burn survivors. So it's a full gamut of services for as long as survivors and families need it. So that's one piece. Mm-hmm. We also have prevention and outreach programs to prevent burn injuries in the first place, also partner programs with EMS, fire, and rescue across the state.
And I was going to say that though too, because I mean we focus at least in the Charlotte-ish area, but we are seeing, I guess, an uptick. I mean, this is around that time of year we start to see more of these house fires as well. And I guess the question for you as an expert too is, as you see more of these cases, as you see more people coming in and out of your guys' center, what is one thing that kind of sticks out, I guess, whether this year specifically or around this time of year when it comes to these burn victims? Are we seeing similar cases, or what are you guys seeing that's a trend more so?
So there are seasonal trends, certainly. For the winter months, it sometimes comes down to folks leaving up Christmas decorations a little too long, maybe use of candles, electrical wiring issues with Christmas lighting, things of that sort. What is universally true, if folks want to think about one thing that they can do to keep their family safe, there's so many things, but the number one thing is have a functioning smoke alarm in the home and to have practiced their response for what happens if the alarm goes off. So it's not enough to have the alarm. Your family has to practice drills if the alarm goes off, how to get everyone to safety. That's the number one thing to reduce the risk of injuries or death from house fires.
Now, let me ask you this, though, too, because I believe you guys are one of the closest burn centers to our Charlotte area. Sure. And I know you don't know as necessarily on why there's not one maybe in Charlotte, but maybe talk a little bit about how we could expand, and maybe it would be a helpful situation or piece or element to have more of your guys' services around the state, or specifically closer to Charlotte as well, if you could.
Sure. So it's a complex issue, but just to know, for North Carolina, there are 2 verified burn centers, certainly our burn center at UNC, and then we have our colleagues at Atrium Health, Wake Forest Baptist, in Winston-Salem. Now, after the merger of Wake Forest Healthcare System with Atrium, which is now Advocate, etc., with expansion, there is more resources within those systems that tend to refer to specialty centers. So keeping in mind that burn care is very specialized, so it's entirely possible to have stabilization at a closest trauma center, and then lateral transfer up the road to either Baptist in Winston-Salem or to us at UNC.
Okay. That makes a little bit more sense. We did a story on it about 5 years ago, and it was the same question that they were wondering, like, hey, what's the deal with the burn center? Would they bring one here? What's the situation? So I am glad that you were kind of able to give a bit of that context into that aspect and topic about it
absolutely.
As well. Nice. And then, I guess moving forward though too is there really anything else that you really wanted to add or talk to when it comes to burn outreach and prevention following? I mean, again, we were talking about the Hamlin story, but we are seeing more of these. Unfortunately, again, around this time of year, what are the things that people should be aware of or know about your guys' services as well?
Oh, sure. So I'd say the number one thing is this is so typical of human nature that folks don't tend to think of the resources that are needed until tragedy strikes. And so, number one, I want folks to appreciate that burns is just one flavor of trauma, and that on the inpatient burn center side, we are really the receiving end of what the continual care by fire, rescue, EMS already is. So I want to give a mad props shout to them for the great work that they do. From a prevention perspective, again, number one, functional smoke alarm, have an exit drill that's practiced with your family routinely. And then beyond that, I would say for this time of year, just be mindful of getting the Christmas decorations down in a timely fashion. Paying close attention to what I call the Clark Griswold special of the 47 extension cords plugged in, et cetera, et cetera. That's a risk reduction that folks can take charge of in their own home.
Top of the hours, we continue to follow the officer-involved shooting in Emmett Hill.
All right, sorry guys, we're playing Happy Fingers. I'm sorry. All right, so that was the interview Miles Harris did with the J.C. Burn Center there. He also spoke with the American Red Cross. Let's take a listen into that full interview.
Jason, and tell me if I'm wrong, but I feel like we are starting to see an uptick when it comes to house fires in and around our area. Are you guys seeing yourself kind of reacting to more of those around this time of year as well?
We are. We've seen about a 26% increase of home fires since November 1st compared to last year. So the cold weather brings this on, and it's like clockwork, unfortunately, every single year. People are figuring out different ways to keep themselves heated, and cooking is the leading cause of fires also. But we have seen an increase since November 1st.
Now, let me ask you this, Jason. I mean, obviously, you guys are with the Red Cross, so you play with a lot of the help and recovery efforts. But when you hear about another house fire, and we saw one of the magnitude of the Denny Hamlin one in their home as well, what is the top concern for you and your guys' staff when it comes to these as well?
Our top concern is that people think it's going to happen to somebody else. People never think it's them that this is going to happen to. And I've been a Red Crosser for 15 years, and the number one response that we respond to is home fires. We respond to about 60,000 disasters a year, and over 90% are home fires. And they happen way more often than hurricanes and tornadoes and all of the things that you hear on the front page news. But people don't think it's going to happen to them. And I've been here 15 years, and a home fire happened to us. Our home was destroyed by a home fire about 5 years ago. It was really embarrassing and humbling, and we're all safe. We got out fine. But being a Red Crosser and preaching fire safety awareness, I felt really embarrassed, and it was really humbling. And I just think if it could happen to me, it could happen to anybody, because I know the dangers of home fires, and I took all the precautions, and the home fire still happened. So we just want people to make sure that they take the necessary precautions to make sure they're not a victim of a home fire.
I was going to say, I know you've talked about it, but if you don't mind, like, what are some of the biggest safety tips that you can gauge or give to help people, even like if it's not top of mind, how it can be one of those top of the mind things that prevent a house fire?
Yeah, well, the number one thing that we encourage people to do is a catchy phrase called, we say, keep an eye on what you fry. Most home fires happen in the kitchen first, and so that comes from cooking. So if you're cooking something, if there's an open flame, if you're frying anything, do not leave it alone. Don't trust it. Be there to make sure you can put it out before it gets too big. Another leading cause of home fires is heating. People are trying to figure out different heating sources. Some people heat their homes with space heaters. Space heaters have instructions that come with them, and we encourage and implore people to follow those instructions. Don't have it on carpet. Make sure it's more than 3 feet away from anything that could catch fire. Don't plug it into an extension cord. Make sure you plug it directly into a wall, and never leave that heating device unattended.
Jason, one of the last questions that I really have for you, though, too, is you talked about it. I mean, house fires have impacted you and your family directly. And obviously, when you see and hear them, I'm sure that they probably give that perspective. But since that fire, and really since we've seen more of these, though, too, how are you, I guess more importantly, in yourself, too, also making sure that you're spreading the good word of keeping people safe with this as well?
So we do a campaign every single year. It's called Sound the Alarm throughout the United States. And we install smoke alarms for free in neighborhoods. And we check batteries to make sure they're working. And if a home has working smoke alarms, we don't do anything to it. We just go over some home fire safety plans. But if they need smoke alarms, we install them for free. They could go to redcross.org, and we'd be happy to install smoke alarms for free in your home.
And one of my last question that I have for you as well is, upon doing some of the research on this, Charlotte doesn't have a burn center in our area. And so hearing that, pro, con, what are your thoughts on not having a burn center in the Charlotte area?
Well, that's diving in a little out of my my expertise. It would be nice to have a burn center here as opposed to Winston-Salem. But our home fire campaign is aimed to reduce deaths and injury by home fires. And one of the ways that you could do that is make sure you have working smoke alarms. Test them every 6 months. Make sure they work. Make sure they're in their proper location. If you have any questions about it, go to redcross.org or call 1-800-RED-CROSS. You could also reach out to your local fire department. But working smoke alarms saves lives and reduces injuries. So make sure that you take all the preventative cautions that we talked about earlier, but make sure you also have working smoke alarms.
Is there anything else that you wanted to add, Jason?
Yes, we are always looking for volunteers to help with this campaign. Volunteer for the Red Cross. Help us get the word out that home fires do take lives, and we're working as hard and fast as we can to make sure that we prevent that from happening. And join our team, become part of the Red Cross family, and join our home fire campaign.
All right, so that was that full interview there with the American Red Cross. Let's take a quick break. We'll be back here in just 2 minutes here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. Welcome back here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. I'm Nick Sturtevant. Another chilly morning, cold morning. Ugh.
Now right cold. I had to wear my new mittens.
Yeah. And Carlene has a fly tracksuit on. I just want to throw that out there. Fly as always. A great day to wear tracksuit. A great day to pull out your nice coat, your Christmas coat. Everybody gets a Christmas coat.
You
know, when you're younger, you got a new coat. Yeah, I know you always wanted the toys and the video games, but that new coat.
That coat, I mean, it came in clutch.
It comes in handy. Good morning for the Christmas for the Christmas Day Christmas gift coat. You may be able to put it away soon, but for now, let's take a full look at our full forecast with meteorologist Chris Mulcahy.
December 31st. Crazy seeing it on the screen. Official sunrise time today is at 7:31, so less than 30 minutes to go until the last one at 20:25. And then moving forward, all in all, it is going to be a delightful forecast. We have actually a decent amount of sunshine that's going to be here with us for the start of the year. Just a few passing clouds in the short term, so it's going to be a good one. However, one thing to mention, this is one thing that we often overlook for the forecast. It is going to be a breezy day, which is going to make you feel on and off wind chilly at times. Right now, we don't really have too much of a wind, only 3-mile-per-hour breeze coming out of the westerly direction right now. That's 29 degrees, feeling like 29. You need to get above that 3 for us to really have a wind chill. Current temperatures warmer than yesterday for the mountains by about 5 degrees for some of you, 20 for you in Boone, 32 around Hickory, and then rocking the mid to the upper 20s along the I-85 corridor. Look at that pup, having a great time, getting ready for 2026 cool glasses, man. 53 degrees is where we should be, and that's exactly where we're going to be for the afternoon, but we are increasing the cloud cover slightly. So for your New Year's Eve forecast, first of the day, near normal to end the year, above normal to begin next year. 2026 typically starts around 52, or any given year here around Charlotte. We're going to be about 8 degrees above that, but the first rain chance of 2026, we have an isolated chance on Friday night, but I think it's more so going to be a Saturday morning to Saturday afternoon deal. Saturday is not the pick of the weekend, my friends, because of all this jazz heading our way. So we have a front that moves in. That is going to stall out and keep it cloudy for your Friday, mainly during the afternoon. Then we have this low pressure system that's moving in from the west. Once that gets a little bit close to us, that's where the rain starts. And I don't think this is going to be a tremendous torrential downpours. It looks to be more light to moderate rain, but that's a good soaking of rain that's going to move in from the west. And it'll be directly over us heading into your Saturday afternoon, and then eventually dry air works in, and we should be done by your Saturday evening. Now, there's a lot of question marks. This could speed up, and that's going to be less rain, a shorter time frame that will have rain, so we're still watching it pretty closely, because yesterday I had an isolated rain chance, and I moved it all the way up to widespread.
All right, I know that's the weather. I know this, Chris, we love them, but we want to get to this, because the new year is ringing in Japan. Listen in. Well, it's in a different language.
It's a little delayed. Now we're counting down.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Happy New Year!
Happy New Year! Happy New Year in Japan. Man, that is an amazing shot. That is Tokyo. They just rang in the new year 2026. It's here, ladies and gentlemen, in Tokyo, Japan. And also in South Korea. So, South Korea. Happy New Year. Oh, man, that is great.
We missed it. We were watching it while Chris was going, but there was the whole Hello Kitty Sanrio characters down there dancing. It's very much what you think would Tokyo be about, and I love it. I love every minute of it.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. We've been kind of monitoring the feeds to make sure you get the live New Year celebrations as they are happening. So cool there, so beautiful. Hello Kitty. There you go.
I want to go so bad to Tokyo. Like, you'll have no idea. I mean, I want to go so bad.
Shout out to Carlene as well, because Carlene, we've been doing some context clues on what celebration this is. Carlene spotted it right away.
I said, Hello Kitty, boom, that's Japan, let's go.
And she was right. She's Tokyo ringing in the new year there. Let's see.
Happy New
Okay, well,
Year
it's in Japanese right now.
Japanese.
Okay, so yeah, but you got the feel of what's happening there in Tokyo 2026.
The grandiose.
Oh man.
The lights, the fireworks.
Carlene, that's on Carlene's bucket list one day.
It is. It's my top place in the world I want to go.
NYE In Tokyo?
In Tokyo would be
Carlene?
amazing.
That's
Where do you?
epic.
Now we got time. It's the holiday.
Yeah,
We can
let's
talk
go,
about
let's
this.
go. Yeah,
Where do
let's-
you want to go, Nick? Where's your number one place in the world you want to go venture to?
For the new year?
Just anytime.
Anywhere.
I'll go to Tokyo anytime.
I like to go to Paris.
Okay.
I would like to go to Tokyo.
Okay.
I definitely want to make a trip to Ghana.
Okay.
I probably have one more. I probably have Grenada.
Okay.
Yeah, those are kind of like is that 4? I named 4. Yeah, 4. What about you? I know you said Tokyo, but
Tokyo's number one. I would love to go. I'm Czechoslovakian, so I'd love to go
Ooh.
to Prague.
Okay.
I've heard it's amazing.
Okay.
Greece would be really cool. Yeah, I would like to go to South Africa. I've heard Johannesburg.
oh
is
yeah,
great.
yep.
Beijing would be cool.
Beijing would be cool.
I have lots of places.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, if we get into, I didn't
Right,
mention
right.
Europe. Like, London would be cool.
Oh, man.
Paris would be nice.
And you can get a flight when you're in Europe. You can
just
get a
like
cheap
scoot
flight.
around.
Yeah.
You can like go take the trains.
a lot of people take a one-way flight and they just kind of scoot around throughout Europe. Man, that was amazing. It's always
Yeah.
cool to see
other traditions.
We have some other I just want to, if we got some time. I mean,
we do.
Is that New Orleans right there?
I think it's New Orleans. I don't know if I can take it.
Okay. I don't want to get us in trouble.
We've got restrictions on some live.
Okay,
cameras that
okay.
people might understand.
I got a little excited. I'm sorry, Carlene. I got a little excited. I got a little excited. I got a little excited.
You
I
give
can't
me
help
like,
it.
I might be
It's 2026 somewhere. Look, I want to say this now. Let's at least play this. CMPD.
Yes.
Quick snippet. A big celebration happening at Truist Park, or Truist Field, I should say, where the Knights play. Again, that New Year's Eve celebration. You remember back in 2023, unfortunately, there was a shooting there, so they moved that celebration uptown to the home of the Knights to keep people safe. But CMPD sending out a message yesterday about what you should expect and. Yeah, expect to have a good time, but also expect to be safe. Let's take a listen in.
Hey Charlotte, New Year's Eve is almost here, and many of you will be celebrating in Center City. CMPD is ready to keep the party safe and fun, but we need your help. Here are a few easy ways to keep your night fun and worry-free. First, stay alert and aware. Big crowds and bright lights can be distracting, so keep your eyes up and look out for one another. Next, if you see something that doesn't look right, speak up. Call 911 or flag down an officer. We'll have several CMPD officers downtown, and they are there to help. Also, keep your belongings secure. Carry your valuables with you, lock your car, and never leave items or firearms in your vehicle. These simple steps go a long way in preventing theft. Next, plan ahead for how you'll get home. Whether it's rideshare, public transit, or a designated driver, make that decision before you head out. And if you're using rideshare, always double check the driver and vehicle before getting in. Finally, leave the fireworks to the professionals. They can be dangerous and in some cases illegal. So enjoy the amazing shows put on by the experts. Let's ring in 2026 together safely. From all of us at CMPD, have an amazing, safe, and unforgettable New Year's Eve. Happy New Year, Charlotte.
Yes, we want to make sure you're safe. You want to make sure you have a good time. But again, safety is one of the more important things, most important things. All right. We've been showing images of New Year's Eve celebrations, also setups. This is a live look. New York City.
The Big Apple, baby.
Times Square as they get ready for that big celebration. So folks get there early in the morning. Like right now. You're like, if you get there now, you're kind of late.
They get in a spot and they camp.
And you stay there. You can't go anywhere.
Yeah.
I'm looking at the shot behind Carlene as well. We have another shot in our studio.
We can see. You can't see it, but we can see it.
But you're basically looking at the same shot. But they are getting ready there in New York City there. I know they had a press conference yesterday about security. I did hear Jessica Tisch say there's no threats to what's the event planned there in Times Square. So again, they're giving updates there, but a lot of folks are going to be there. Maybe some folks in the Charlotte area. Look, if you're
there's a lot of New Yorkers here, so I wouldn't doubt it that either people are either gone back up there or people that are down here have done this before.
Yeah. We would love to speak with you.
Yeah.
If you're
I'll
there.
talk to my mom. My mom's listening. She's done it once before. My mom's from Queens, so she said way back in the day she did it once. And she's like, you do it once, and then you're good.
But I've heard the same thing. Yeah. If you're there right now and you're listening to Live Impact News,
call in.
We want to hear from you.
Call a station. We want to hear from you.
Call in to Live Impact News, FaceTime. We'll get you. We'll set you up with a Zoom if you want to do Zoom. All right, let's take a quick break. We'll be back here in just 2 minutes here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. Welcome back here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. I'm Nick Sturdivant. Although it has been a up and down year for the Panthers, up as far as better record. Down, we're trying to find some consistency. It's almost 2026. Their next game, first game of 2026, is this Saturday, and leading up to the big game, Carlene. Leading up. We got a lot
of things going on.
We got a lot of things going on. Check it out. Extended coverage all week long continues tonight, 9 p.m., Thursday, 9 p.m., Friday, 9 p.m., Saturday. We are here. Game night watch party at 4 p.m.
I bet we probably have coverage from Danielle in Tampa even before 9 p.m. I'm sure we got it.
We have
all day.
I forgot to mention that. Danielle is going to be in Tampa.
It's going to be in sunny Florida.
Yeah, she's coming back to Central Florida.
Yeah.
She came from Orlando.
Yeah,
I just want to throw that out there. I know it kind of got in the weeds of that, but but she's going to Tampa. She's familiar with the area.
Yeah, she is.
Who better to send? Danielle Stein. So we got extended coverage breaking down the games. And just a quick plug, you can check Carlene, Eugene, and I out on Thursday night, 9 p.m., breaking down the game, reflecting back on that loss against the Seahawks.
We don't have to be down about it.
I had to be down about it. But we were talking about the Bucs game. Eugene with a lot of Eugene was in rare form, was he?
Yeah.
He was in rare form.
Yeah.
He's always in rare form.
He was fired up. He's like, I'm ready. He's ready to go. He's ready to see this team thrive.
I'm ready to get him a jersey and a helmet.
Up. I mean, he's in great shape.
I will never line up. I will never line up in front of Eugene again.
Because he was trying to show you some moves, and you weren't ready for it.
This was what, like a month and a half ago? I'm thinking he's going to take it easy on me. He hits me in the chest. And what would be a love tap to somebody who plays football,
Right.
for average Joe like myself, it felt like Doctor Strange when he would hit people in their soul would detach from their body. That's how it felt.
I know. I was like, you got Goldberg's theory right there.
Right. I was like, oh. And then he hit me with another move, and it didn't go well. Shout out to Eugene. But yeah, Eugene's fired up. I'm fired up. Carlene's fired up. Make sure you catch us all week long. We have extended Panthers coverage. Danielle Stein will be in Tampa starting Friday providing coverage, and then our watch night party.
Which Eugene will be at.
Eugene will be here.
Maybe because him and Carboni are breaking down X's and O's.
Yeah.
Maybe Eugene will pop.
Oh man, that would be something to see. Miles Harris is going to be here. It's going to be a packed. Jeb is going to be here. It's going to be a packed room here, watching the Panthers take on the Bucks. All right. So as we promised, extended coverage all week long. Carboni doing some great stuff last night, 9 p.m. Panthers on the Plus, breaking down not only the Seahawks loss, but also the Bucks game ahead. In that scenario, look, even if we lose, we still got hope.
You still got a chance.
And it hinges on the Atlanta Falcons. Just want to throw that out there.
Isn't that crazy? It's not, because that's the way it's built.
Yeah.
But like your rival, it seals your fate.
Who we beat twice.
Right.
Who we thought, man, we don't have to worry about them at all.
It's a rough game every time between y'all.
We don't have to worry about them at all.
No, now you're hoping and praying and looking at the scoreboard watching.
Man, all right, come on, Falcons, do what you got to do.
It's dramatic. I know that the NFL's not the WWE, but like sometimes these storylines bleed over.
This is the most WWE season in history.
Very much so.
Like
it's not so far different. You know what I mean?
Josh Allen's supposed to make that play in the end zone.
Oh, I know.
But in WWE fashion.
Yep.
Come on, man.
Yep.
Come on.
Yeah.
All right, let's get to Carboni.
The bell rung.
You said what?
The bell rung.
The bell rung. All right, let's get to Carboni. Panthers on the Plus.
Panthers on the Plus, our nightly check-in on Panthers Buccaneers in the Week 18 rematch, potentially for the division. And we are doing this every night at 9 o'clock with special guests. And don't forget, we will also be in Tampa Bay starting Friday night with coverage on air on WCNC Charlotte and here on WCNC Plus. And Saturday, we've got something special cooked up for you at 4:30 or at 4 o'clock ahead of 4:30 kickoff. We will have a Panthers watch party with real-time analysis with former NFL safety Eugene Robinson, and just a fun conversation for you and with you as the Panthers take on the Bucks down in Tampa. Tonight's guest is somebody we got familiar with 2 weeks ago, and I figured we'd be doing this again just a short time later, and here we are. 10 News Tampa Bay sports director Evan Klosky joining us. Evan, what are the Bucs spirits right now? Because last night they watched the Falcons kind of muddy this whole thing up, and they no longer have a win and in scenario like the Panthers do. They've got to win and then get help the following day. So what did that do to their kind of vibe down there, if you will?
I'll say this. The vibe can't get any worse. Look, they lost 7 of their last 8. You know, they didn't need Atlanta to win for them to feel better about themselves, right? They got to win. They got to win a football game. And that's, even if Atlanta puts them in a tough position, they understand that they're the ones that are responsible for this. Like, it would have been nice for Atlanta to lose in a game where they were a 7-point underdog, but they've controlled their own destiny for the entire season, essentially. You know, the Panthers have also bailed them out multiple times this season to maintain their position atop the NFC South for a long time before Carolina jumped them a couple of weeks ago. And even last week, Carolina lost where they could have buried them for good. So they've had their 9 lives, and there's still a good chance that the Falcons lose on Sunday. And I can go through my whole analysis of that if we want to, but vibes are not great. Baker's banged up again. Right shoulder injury is a new one for him this season. He took a nasty hit in that Dolphins game on the fumble. So they just want to win. I think they just want a good taste in their mouth after a really bad 2 months.
Yeah, let's talk about Baker. Saw him pop up on the injury report with a knee and also shoulder, and it had been the non-throwing shoulder. Now it is the throwing shoulder. I know, today here, and I believe there was a kind of a light walkthrough. Were you able to tell anything? What are they saying about the prognosis for that heading into this game?
He's going to play. Baker's a dog. And he's played through a lot this season, and whatever this is, it's not going to stop him. Will he be effective? I don't know. But in the last game against the Panthers, up until that Ibuka 40-yard completion, I mean, the longest completion they had was about 13 yards. They already were playing pretty close to the vest in that contest and as conservative as can be. So does the injury maybe relegate them to returning to the game plan we saw a couple of weeks ago? Maybe. But we'll see Baker out there. He'll gut through it, and we'll know how bad it really is once we start watching him play. But otherwise, and you understand the portions that we see
10 minutes
at practice. 10 minutes, you're doing a couple of handoffs. They actually, during our portion, sometimes the quarterbacks do their drills during the media window. That did not happen this week. They were actually running through some stuff, so much so that they didn't want us to shoot it. So all I can say is that he's going to play, and what kind of version we get of him, not quite sure. It hasn't been a great version for 2 months anyway, and I don't know what another bump and bruise is going to do to, magically change what we've kind of seen since the bye week.
Is there some solace in the fact, and like you said, we haven't really seen it from him the last 8 weeks, that it's Baker Mayfield with his back up against the wall, and as he mentioned the other day, out of lives. And sometimes that brings out the best in Baker. It hasn't up until this point, but now, like he said, he is truly out of bullets, truly out of lives. What do you know about his makeup in those moments?
He's going to be a leader. He's going to do what he's got to do. There's going to be a third down play that happens on Saturday where it's 3rd and 8 and he scrambles out of it and he makes a first down and you're all yelling at your TV like, it's coming. How do you let that happen, right? That's Baker. And he's gritty. He's going to figure it out. He's going to find a way on certain plays that look dead to make it happen. But can he string enough of those plays together to win a ball game, right? In flashes, he'll keep drives going. In flashes, he'll make a great play. But can he do enough? And it's not just him. It's a whole operational thing. It's an injury thing. It's an OC thing. It's we don't have to get into the weeds of it. But he's going to be a competitor and a leader. But is it enough to win the game? That's the question. Because you're going to get the fire from Baker. You're going to get the competitive spirit. But can you get that for multiple drives, multiple touchdown drives? Objectively, I don't know.
All right, let's have a Tristan Wirfs discussion briefly, but layered. Interoffice politics last week at Miami. What was going on the sideline between Wirfs and a teammate? And is it a sign of something bigger brewing there? And then just give us an update, because it sounds like he may return to action this week.
So let's start with the Tristan Wirfs, Bucky Irving thing on the sidelines. Personally, for me, I'm okay with that stuff. I don't think the team is fretting about that stuff. Do you want to be doing that on the sidelines where everyone has their cameras? No. But Todd Bowles, Baker Mayfield, everybody on this team the past couple of months has been pretty much shouting in front of the microphone saying this has to be a player-led thing and you all have to take accountability. You all have to do it. The coaches can't tell you to do everything. Like, you got to figure it out yourselves. And I'm okay with a little bit of frustration and hey, like, you guys need to do this, you guys need to do that. As long as it's not the straight up finger pointing, like, you messed that up. But like, if it's in the way of like, we got to get better sort of deal, I'm kind of okay with that, as long as there's no like fisticuffs. So I label that a nothing burger. those on the outside looking in, especially seeing a team that's lost 7 of its last 8, I understand the optics. I'm not going to try to sugarcoat that, but I don't think it's a big deal for them. Having said that, with Tristan Wirfs, he's going to try. He was out there doing a little bit today. It was still listed as a DNP, so it was certainly nothing of significance other than like doing a couple of walkthrough steps. Yep. He would not have practiced if it was a real practice. And knowing Tristan, if he can go, he will go. But for Tristan to sit out last game, that's a red flag for me, right? That was a very important game. If Carolina wins that game, season's over. Like, there is no, hey, let's rest somebody for next week, right? Like, their season could have ended last week. You can't play that game. So for him to sit out as a captain with a toe injury, which traditionally speaking is not a good injury for NFL players. It could be a myriad of things, but usually when you're missing time for a toe, that's bad. Yeah, there's definitely a chance he doesn't suit up on Saturday, but we know he's going to give it a go, and he's certainly a guy we're going to have to watch the injury report into tomorrow and then on Thursday. And he could also be a guy that doesn't even practice, the next 3 days and just on Saturday guts through it, right? Like, he's a veteran. He understands his jobs. He's one of the handful of people on this team that could do that.
All right, we're going to have much more with 10 Tampa Bay's Evan Klosky coming up, talking Bucks, Panthers. We're going to get a handle on the atmosphere to expect Saturday afternoon down there in Tampa Bay, coming up in about 120 seconds.
All right, we will get back to that discussion in just a moment, but we're going to take our own break. We'll be back here in just 2 minutes here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. Welcome back here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. I'm Nick Sturtevant. We showed an incredible New Year being, I guess, them bringing in rain. I was about to say wrong. Rain, wrong. They were ringing in the New Year in Tokyo. We caught it live. Let's send you out now live to Beijing, where they are getting ready to ring in the new year. You see all the folks there. It is 11:26 p.m. there in Beijing. A lot of excited people. So what we're going to do is we're going to continue to keep an eye on this. And at the end of the show, we're going to try to take you there as the new year rolls
or
in.
right around it.
Right
There'll be a
around.
little bit of delay, so you might miss the midnight there, but you'll get the gist with the celebration.
You'll get the hype.
You'll get the hype.
We're going to do our best. All right. So that's the live look there at Beijing. We want to take you back now to that discussion. Carboni, also sports director there at Tampa 10. We're talking about big matchup Saturday. Panthers, Bucks, a lot on the line there. Let's take you back there now.
Welcome back to Panthers on the Plus. Quick reminder, we'll be here every night at 9 o'clock talking Panthers Bucks. We will be down in Tampa starting Friday, and on Saturday you can watch the game with us right here on WCNC Plus beginning ahead of kick at 4 o'clock. But want to rejoin our conversation with 10 Tampa Bay's Evan Klosky now. I'm wondering about, listen, Evan, if the Panthers somehow get into the playoffs, whether they kick into the front door or sneak into the back door this weekend, however it works out, that home playoff game is going to be something we haven't seen here in like a decade. Just that, first of all, it actually happening, and then the atmosphere. It's kind of old hat the last handful of years for Tampa getting to this point. What do you expect from the atmosphere from a fan base that's extremely frustrated with their team, even though they still have a chance to get in?
I don't expect a good one. I'll tell you that.
Wow.
That's the thing. That's a big part of this. Carolina's excited for this game, this opportunity, what could possibly be ahead. And not to say that Tampa Bay isn't. Those guys want to win. And if nothing more, for pride. They've done a lot of losing. They're sick and tired of it. And they've lost a lot of games that they should have won, to be quite honest. Just think about that Thursday night debacle against Atlanta. Even the game in Carolina, if Baker doesn't make that interception, that's a game that they feel like at least they're pushing it to overtime, and let's see what happens from there. And especially considering what happened last year, you've done that game before. But the environment is not going to be pretty. It just won't be. The area is not excited about this team. They're not excited about its coach. There's very little to get excited about when you've lost 7 of 8 and you've failed to meet such lofty expectations, not only entering the season, but after going 6-2 and having just one of the more epic collapses in franchise history. Not the number one collapse in franchise history, but it's up there as something that was certainly looked like a lock in the bye week, and you really had to try extremely hard to blow it, and you did. So that's tough. That's tough for a fan base that is used to being in the playoffs. If they do not make the playoffs, it's going to be the first time since 2019 the Buccaneers will not be in the postseason. They've won the division since 2021 every year. For them not to win the division's a big deal. And so, it's a little bit of a reminder for the fan base that you can't take the playoffs, you can't take those runs for granted. And Todd Bowles, if he loses on Saturday, is a 500 head coach during his tenure with the Buccaneers. He has a 1-3 postseason record on top of that, so it would be actually below 500. And then you kind of have little rumblings out there that, maybe Todd isn't as much on the hot seat as we all like to think. And that's not going to go well with the fan base. It really has not been going well with the fan base. So I just think all of that culminates into the atmosphere. And then 4:30 Saturday doesn't lead yourself into a very exciting time slot.
All right, Evan Klosky from 10 Tampa Bay News down there covering the Bucks. Evan, from the outside, it just seemed like maybe the Bucks, this is preseason talk, like maybe the Bucks win the division again. Sure, they're the favorites, but their time seems to be coming, right? I mean, father time is coming for a lot of players on this roster. Todd Bowles was absolutely, looking at a warm seat, if not sitting on one before the season. Did Tampa do, what if they miss the playoffs, which is feasible obviously at this point, what do they point to? What do you point to in terms of how they did or did not improve the roster this offseason as kind of the warning signs?
Part of it were the injuries, offensively speaking. We highly touted the fact that this was a top 5 offensive line entering the season in the National Football League. They played 0 snaps together. Tristan Wirfs missed the first few games. He didn't have a training camp because the medical staff screwed up an injury during the offseason. He was rusty even entering the year. Luke Gedeke missed like 6 weeks with an injury he suffered in week 2. Ben Bredesen was off and on injured and is now currently on the IR, missing the rest of the regular season. We don't even know if he's able to return if the postseason begins. Cody Malk missed almost the entire season, got hurt week 2. And Graham Barton's been the only guy that remains, and he's a year 2 dude playing next to 2 guards who were on the practice squad on their respective teams when the season started. So that's really tough. And then factor in Chris and Mike and Emeka having to take on a huge role as a rookie and switch to every sort of receiver. Like, there were things outside of their control entering the season. And then you factor in an offensive coordinator who they took a risk on because of continuity. They wanted to try to keep that Liam Cohen magic in the system. Grizz is a good play designer, and it just reminds me a lot of the Dave Canales year when he was here. Dave Canales had a lot more magic to go with him than what Grizz has right now, but the play calling was spotty and splattery, and that's not to be, unexpected for a guy that's never called plays before, especially at the National Football League level. Both of them were in their first run, and it's just splattery, and it's leaving Baker out there to dry a little bit. So offensively speaking, I tend for it to be more of injuries and coaching than actually anything to do with the roster. I think going into next year, this is a top 5 offense if you get a really good offensive coordinator, assuming everybody's healthy again and everybody comes back. Like, they really just have to turn over a backup running back and a tight end, and like, they're ready to go. So I'm willing to buy that offense. The defense is where Jason Light, the general manager, probably failed them the most. The depth didn't stand out. I think some of it is coaching as well, but behind their front 4 of Yaya Diaby, Hassan Reddick, Vita Vea, and Kalijah Kancey, they had very little depth. And then Kalijah Kancey, who could return on Saturday, which would be a big boost for the defensive line, but Kancey got injured week 2. And then Hassan Reddick got injured, in that Lions game week 7, and their pass rush went all the way downhill. They couldn't really rush 4 anymore. They couldn't generate pressure. Their back end got exposed. Zion McCollum regressed. Jamel Dean off and on injured. Probably won't play on Saturday, but he's going to try. And so the talent, the personnel, the linebackers went into the season with Levante David and Servassier Dennis. Love Levante, still productive, but not the same guy. This could be his last ever game inside Raymond James Stadium. And Servassier Dennis was a risk that I think he's more of a linebacker 3 than a 1 or 2. So I think that they need to completely overhaul the defense in the offseason. I don't know if that's feasible to do in one offseason, but you look at some of the strides Atlanta made in the offseason with that defense, what it was last year and what it is this year, and there's proof that you can do it if you do it correctly. But I don't necessarily think the Buccaneers have to rebuild or they're on the way down, but they certainly could hit a crossroads if Jason Light bungles this upcoming offseason. So if you fix the defense, you bring in a better coaching staff, I really do think that the Buccaneers could look a lot like the Jaguars, the Patriots, a lot of those other teams that you never really saw coming entering the year, and they just needed a little bit of a spark and it flipped them. So there's a lot of talent on this team. The talent's not the issue. There's a lot of other things that were exposed along the way.
All right, well, somebody's got to talk about the de facto NFC South Championship game. Might as well be us. We're going to have a little bit more with 10 Tampa Bay's Evan Klosky coming up after the break.
All right, man. It's a big showdown. Look, a lot more at stake for the Bucs than the Panthers.
Yeah.
Panthers don't necessarily have to win to get in. Bucs, they have to win, and they have to have the Saints win against the Falcons, a hot Falcons team. Saints are also playing really well.
They have a lot to lose, and we kind of, not that we have nothing to lose, but you know what I mean.
But we'll feel better if we won. Nobody wants to kind of parallel park their way into the playoffs. And Carlene's a Bills fan, so she's coasting right now. I think Josh Allen's
coasting is
But Josh Allen's not going to play next week or this week.
No,
he shouldn't. I mean, he's got that foot looks like it's the way he's kind of hobbling around, he's not as mobile, was rest Josh Allen. He's played a lot of football over the last 7 years.
Yeah.
So
let's let him rest until he can get back in when it counts.
Rooting for the Bills.
Yeah.
I'm just saying. All right.
Thank you.
All week long, extended coverage, just like what you just heard with Carboni. Panthers on the Plus all week long, 9 p.m. here on WCNC Plus. Danielle Stein is going to be in Tampa giving us coverage there starting on Friday. And don't want to miss it. As you watch the game, make sure you have another monitor up because we're having a watch party here Saturday starting at 4. Kickoff is at 4:30. But we're going to be here at 4. If the Panthers win, more extended coverage. I think extended coverage all the way through. It doesn't matter win or loss. But
just keep us on.
We're predicting a win.
Put us on your phone. Put us on your laptop. Put us on your tablet.
People do
We're
this.
on YouTube as well.
This is
plenty of places.
This is going to be way better than the Manning cast.
That's why I told Janie, like, who needs the Mannings when you got us?
Got us. Why?
You know what I mean?
Why?
I mean, you know.
I'm just saying.
I mean, they're cute, but are they us?
No, we're cuter.
Right.
I love Carlene. Let's take a quick break. We'll be back here in just 2 minutes here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. Welcome back here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. I'm Nick Sturdivant. Let's take you out now to New York City, Times Square. That is a live look as preparations continue for the big New Year's Eve celebration. Look, if you were looking to catch a last-minute flight and head down to Times Square, you might be a little bit too late.
Might be a little late.
Folks are already there, already camped out, already. Wow, I mean, we got a lot of time before celebrations kick off. And then as that ball drops and we say hello to 2026. But it's going to be a lot happening. So, and look, there are a lot of places to, a lot of screens to look at in Times Square. A lot of places to go eat in Times Square. Right. Hopefully you can find a bathroom in Times Square if you're there. I just want to put this out there. If you're in Times Square, you have ties to the Charlotte area, live here in Charlotte, whatever, call us. We want to hear from you. We want to know what it's like. I've never been to Times Square during New Year's Eve.
And remember, you can also catch it though. If you can't get up there, you can catch it on WCNC Charlotte.
You can catch it on WCNC Charlotte. That's easy. That you can do that. Also, you can watch WCNC Plus ahead of the 11 o'clock hour where the ball drops and everything. Yeah.
We'll be showing you other celebrations and things. You go have Hoda and Jenna tonight.
Hoda and Jenna tonight.
That's right.
Shout out to
Dynamic duo.
I love Hoda.
Toast to 2025 starts at 10:30.
Hoda, come on the show.
Come on the show.
We love Hoda. We love Jenna too.
We love Hoda and Jenna. Jenna's busy. Hoda,
Yeah,
Hoda's now celebrating life after, the news desk.
Yeah, but
Come on down.
Come on, Hoda. We got room for you. All right. So speaking of New York City, once the clock strikes midnight, New York City will have a new mayor, Zohran Mamdani. He will become mayor of New York City. And so he will have two separate swearing-in ceremonies. This is according to NBC New York. That will happen tomorrow. One is going to be a private one with his family in an old subway station around midnight, followed by a large event in the afternoon that will include a public block party just outside of City Hall. So yesterday, Zohran Mamdani made some announcements regarding his administration. He's expected to make more announcements today. So we heard from Zohran Mamdani yesterday. Let's take a listen in case you missed it.
Good afternoon, everyone. The great W.E.B. Du Bois once said, "We should measure the prosperity of a nation not by the number of millionaires, but by the absence of poverty and the prevalence of health." By that measurement, our city is anything but prosperous. Too many of our fellow New Yorkers live lives of poverty and suffering, and too many others live lives where health is nothing more than a rumor of something they cannot afford. When I take office in 2 days, I seek to change not only the measure of the well-being of those who live in our city, but those also tasked with the work of measuring. We are here today at Elmhurst Hospital, which serves over 1 million patients annually, and so often feels the pain of poverty and ill health more acutely than anywhere else in our city. If anyone should hold the public's trust in the work of transforming a healthcare system full of disparities and fighting for New Yorkers who most need the services our city can provide, it is the leader who has guided this institution through moments of adversity and success. I am proud to announce that Helen Arteaga will serve as my Deputy Mayor of Health and Human Services. Helen has served as CEO of New York City Health and Hospitals Elmhurst since February of 2021, the same hospital that saved her and so many other New Yorkers' lives during COVID. Her tenure has been transformative, with the hospital delivering consistent improvements in care to its patients and making historic strides to support its frontline healthcare workers. It's the kind of leadership that Elmhurst residents came to expect from a daughter of the community, someone who grew up like them, cared about people like them, and understood that New Yorkers with less are often treated with less. That leadership, driven by empathy and guided by an unshakable belief that every New Yorker deserves a life of dignity, is no less than what the people of this city will expect from their new deputy mayor. As Deputy Mayor for Health and Human Services, Helen will have incredible power to make our city healthier and more prosperous. This is work which will demand all of government coming together, which is why I'm thrilled to also announce my corporation counsel today, Steve Banks, a name that many of you will be familiar with. Steve's legacy of service is second to none. As the former attorney-in-chief of legal aid, Steve helped some of the most vulnerable New Yorkers get back on their feet. And as the commissioner of the Department of Social Services for 7 years under Mayor de Blasio, Steve overhauled our shelter system, helped over 175,000 New Yorkers find permanent housing, and fought for low-income tenants. There is a reason that after leaving office, he was described as the most effective social services director in New York City history. His reputation as a champion of those otherwise forgotten is recognized across the city. I am grateful to him for returning to public service. As New York's Corporations Counsel, he will be our city's lawyer, managing hundreds of attorneys and representing our city in court. It is an incredibly important role with wide-reaching and far-reaching implications, and there's no one I would rather turn to than Steve. Finally, as today is the day of announcements, and we are speaking of counsel, I am delighted to announce that I am naming Ramzi Kassem as Chief Counsel. Ramzi will be joining the administration from CUNY, where he serves as a professor of law. Government service is no novel concept for Ramzi, who served as a senior policy advisor for President Biden from 2022 to 2024, and has deep experience arguing in court, including before the Supreme Court. I will turn to Ramzi for his remarkable experience and his commitment to defending those too often abandoned by our legal system. City Hall will be stronger with him in it, and our work of building a more prosperous city for all will have a powerful advocate. My sincere hope is that New Yorkers who have long felt on the margins of this city, the homeless veteran straining to survive, the patient searching for the care that they need, an immigrant trying to get by, will feel that they now have leaders in their corner who understand their struggles and care to fight for them. That is the city I want to build, the prosperity I intend to deliver, and the leadership that has too long been lacking. Thank you, and please join me in first introducing Ramzi Kassem, my new Chief Counsel.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'd like to begin by thanking the mayor-elect for what feels both like a privilege and a calling, frankly, an honor and a call of duty to serve the city that I've called home, the city that embraced me. I grew up in war-torn countries in the Middle East, authoritarian regimes, and New York City was really my first stable and permanent home. And this is an opportunity for me to repay that debt. I've been trying to repay that debt ever since I came to this country, ever since I immigrated. Service has been the lodestar of my career, of my professional life, whether it's service, as the mayor-elect mentioned, at the White House, or at CUNY, one of the oldest and largest public institutions in our country, and specifically at a law school whose motto is law in the service of human needs, to give back to working-class New Yorkers and serve their social mobility, or whether it's through the clinic and nonprofit that I founded, CLEAR, in service of clients, communities, and movements nationwide. Service is what I look to do and what I hope to do alongside the mayor-elect and his team at City Hall to defend the rights of all New Yorkers without exception, and to create space for the mayor-elect and his team, this administration, to deliver on the promises and the agenda that was so enthusiastically embraced by our fellow New Yorkers. So again, I thank the mayor-elect for this honor, and I look forward to speaking with all of you.
All right, so we'll get back to that press conference in just a moment. We want to take a quick break. We'll be back here in just 2 minutes here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. Welcome back here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. I'm Nick Sturdivant. We want to get you back now to that press conference. NYC Mayor-elect, soon to be Mayor Zohran Mamdani, holding a press conference. So let's take a listen in.
Now I would like to call forward a friend and soon to be a partner in our administration, Steve Banks.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Mayor-elect, for nominating me to lead the New York City Law Department and for your very kind words. If only my mother and father could hear your words. During all my years as a legal aid lawyer and then as a city commissioner, they wondered what I was actually doing with my law degree. Your words would have given them a lot of nachas. I have a unique perspective on the law department. For 33 years as a legal aid lawyer, including 10 as head of the organization, I litigated against the law department. For 8 years as a city commissioner, I was represented by the law department in both affirmative matters involving access to rental assistance, SNAP, food stamps, and Medicaid, as well as matters defensively protecting and addressing the right to shelter. During my time at Legal Aid and in the years since I left city government in 2021, I've also co-counseled with the law department in matters relating to the right to shelter. I know firsthand the key role that the staff of the law department can play in supporting the mayor-elect's vision and agenda for transformative change to help New Yorkers in every community of the city. I'm honored to be the first legal aid lawyer ever nominated to be the Corporation Counsel, and I'm ready for this leadership role. You see, the Legal Aid Society had 1,100 lawyers. That's even more than the numbers of lawyers at the law department. So I'm ready to manage a large law firm like I did at the Legal Aid Society. And in addition to the well-known major cases that I've litigated and handled for low-income and working New Yorkers, over the course of my 44 years as a lawyer, I've represented large numbers of individual clients whose lives have been harmed by city actions. This has provided me with a unique vantage point on the human impact of city policies and practices. The law department can play an essential role in addressing the human impact of such city conduct. Finally, my wife of almost 40 years, who I met on a picket line, by the way, during a legal aid strike in 1982, she and I have been blessed over the past year with 2 grandchildren. I'm ready to take on this role because I know that under this mayor, the Corporation Counsel and the staff of the law department can help make this city a better place for our grandchildren, for every New Yorker, and their children and their grandchildren. Thank you again, Mayor-elect, for this opportunity.
And now, our new Deputy Mayor for Health and Human Services, Helen Arteaga.
Buenas tardes, everyone. Good afternoon, and welcome to Elmhurst. I want to thank the Mayor-elect Mamdani for this trust and faith in appointing me Deputy Mayor for Health and Human Services.
All right, so that was that press conference from yesterday as Mayor-elect Mamdani makes announcements regarding his administration. He will be sworn in 2 separate ceremonies tomorrow. All right. It is New Year's Eve day. Celebrations are happening. We took a live look in Tokyo as they were ringing in the new year.
We saw Seoul earlier.
Seoul. This is Taiwan here on your screen. On your right, to your left, Beijing. Both are gearing up. They're just minutes away from bringing in the new year. 2026 is upon us. You can see those folks there. They're excited. You see the smiles. We're excited. Carlene, what are you excited for 2026 before we close out the show?
Fresh start.
Fresh start, yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. It does. I like the feeling of a fresh start.
Yeah. Wipe the slate clean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
New goals, new. Yeah.
Yeah, I would say leaving all the stress, all the anxiety, everything that 2025 had to offer.
Yes.
For me personally.
Yes.
Leave it there in 2025.
Yeah.
And 2026, clean slate,
fresh start,
fresh mindset, and continue that throughout the year. I'm excited for 2026. I think I'm more excited about 2020 than a new year than I have. Usually I get really sentimental about, man, 2020,
now you're ready.
Year.
You're ready.
I'm ready for the new year. I'm ready. Let's get here. We're ready for the new year. Again, folks, they look like they're ready for the new year.
Yeah.
Taiwan, Beijing.
Taiwan.
Oh man, it's been exciting watching those. Yeah. Those New Year's celebrations
because it's not so different from what we do, but it's a little bit different.
Yeah, I mean,
it's not so different.
They do it a little bit bigger, I think. I want to say.
For sure. I mean, New York's huge, but like, I mean, these are big, grand scale things, like kind of what you would think, right?
Yeah. Right. I saw the teddy bear. I don't know if you saw the teddy bear.
Oh yeah.
Just jumping up and down.
Adorable.
Oh man, can't wait. It's exciting. So we're kind of hanging on here for a little bit before we take you over to Charlotte today, followed by midday. We're hanging on to see if we can catch the countdown to 2026. We might not make it, but it's okay.
It might be a little delayed, but it's okay.
It's okay. We'll hang on it for a little bit. All right. Thank you guys for watching. We're just going to end on this shot, on these two shots. Thank you guys for watching us this morning. The last 9 to 11 stream of 2025.
We'll see you this time next year.
Well, 9 to 11, but Carlene will be back at 12:30.
Yeah, I'll be back at 12:30. You'll see me if y'all are just, yeah.
All right. Y'all have a great day, everyone.